Your business, your rules. Grow a business that works for you. This is the Her Business Podcast. There's something I see over and over again with smart, capable, savvy women in business. Women who are busy, women who are working hard, women who care deeply about their clients, and yet they're not as profitable as they should be. In fact, what they are is stretched, they're exhausted, they're delivering a lot, but the profit and the revenue don't reflect the effort. And here's why. They're caught in what I call the invisible work trap. I'll explain that in a minute, but first, I'm Suzi Daphnis. I'm the CEO at Her Business, and I am your host of this show. So invisible work is the work that feels responsible, it feels productive, it feels like we're being generous, and it even feels strategic. But what it's not directly increasing revenue. It's not increasing profitability, and often it doesn't even increase the results that we're getting for our clients. So today I want to walk through 5 invisible work traps that I see all the time and what to do to get out of them and have some forward momentum instead. And this is definitely not about doing more. It is about doing more of what actually moves the needle in your business. So trap number 1 is product bloat. This is a big one. This is when you keep adding more to your product or service to justify the price. And what that can look like is you add more modules and more lessons to your trainings. You add more bonuses to your promotions. You add more templates, more calls, more access, extended time with you, more customization, more just-in-case support. And nobody actually asks for it. And it's not required to get the result or the outcome. And sometimes it's not even valued or used. But you add it because somewhere along the line, maybe you decided, if I'm charging this much, I need to make it worth it. So instead of strengthening your core promise, you pad out your offer. And the thing is that it doesn't necessarily make it more valuable. It's more often just more work for you. So clients are not buying volume, they are buying outcomes. They are buying clarity, they are buying certainty. And when you overload your offer, you actually dilute its power when you're throwing in everything in the kitchen sink. So the shift you can make is, instead of asking what else can I add, ask what is the one thing that drives the result. So my invitation to you is to audit your main offer, your main promotions this week. List everything that you're including and circle the items that directly contribute to the outcome. Everything else is padding. If something disappeared tomorrow and the result would not change, why is it still there? So have a look at what padding you might have in your promotions and your products and services and start to reduce. Trap number 2 is endless polishing before selling. This is kind of sneaky. This is us rewriting the website pages, updating the branding, refining the program workbook, recording the modules again, tweaking the sales page, perfecting the funnel. It feels productive. We can really easily justify this one, but let me ask you, did you ask someone to buy from you this week? Did you follow up a lead? Did you invite someone to work with you? Because refining is much safer, more comfortable than asking for the sale. And polishing your offer is invisible work when it replaces revenue generating activity like actually asking for the sale. And I have been guilty of this one. I love to tweak things, constant and never ending improvement and all that, but it doesn't always end up with money in the bank. And I see women spending months improving something that was already good enough to put out to market. Now, I'm all about excellence, so we're not saying you're going to put rubbish out there. What we're saying is you've probably got something more than good enough to sell. And here's the rule I love. Revenue before refinement. What does that mean? Let's get money in the door and then we can continue to improve something. So no tweaking, no redesigning, no upgrading until revenue activity is done. You do not need a better Canva template. You need to have more conversations and more conversions. Are you hating me at this point? Just know when I'm saying this to you, I'm saying it to myself as well. Trap number 3 is over-customizing everything. And this one keeps us very busy and very capped. So you customize every proposal, you reinvent your framework for each client, you rewrite deliverables from scratch, you adjust timelines, you bend your scope because you want to be helpful. I get it. You want to be flexible. You want to be exceptional. But what you're really doing is creating dependency. Standardization gives you freedom. Customization creates more complexity for you. When everything becomes bespoke, it takes longer. It costs you more energy, more resources. It's harder to scale. And sometimes your margins even shrink because you are putting so much more effort into it. You're not meant to reinvent your business for every client. So really define your core process, clarify what's included, clarify what's not included, and if something is outside the scope, that's an add-on, and that might be an add-on that is paid for if it's wanted. So that sentence alone, saying that is actually outside of scope, that's an add-on, can really increase your profitability. Trap number 4 is overfunctioning for your clients. Overfunctioning seems to be the word of the year. I know it's only early in the year, but I'm hearing it a lot. This is a big one. This is you chasing clients for materials. This is you not holding people accountable to deadlines that they said that it would meet. This is you reminding them 3 times, resending the link, resending the form, rewriting their copy because they're stuck, working late to compensate for someone else's delays. And this feels like you're being a great business owner, but often it's overfunctioning. So somewhere, maybe you're thinking, if they don't succeed, it's my fault. I'm going to do everything I can to help them succeed. But your job is to provide the structure. Their job is to do the work, to get the result. When you carry both roles, you double the workload and you reduce your profit because you're putting more into it than your part of the bargain. So ask yourself, where am I overfunctioning? What would change if I allowed clients to hold more responsibility? And that comes from having clear expectations, clear boundaries, clear turnaround times, and a clear scope. So this is not you being less supportive. It's you creating a business that is more sustainable. Trap number 5, confusing busy with strategic. Now, this is kind of a bit of an umbrella trap, and this is what I mean, because being busy feels productive. A full calendar feels important. A long to-do list can feel like you're doing meaningful work, but they really don't correlate because being busy is not the same as working strategically in your business. Because strategic thinking would have you asking, is what I'm doing right now growing my revenue? Is it improving my profitability? Is it strengthening my position in the marketplace? Is it building a long-term asset for my business? Invisible work fills your time, where strategic work builds your business. It creates your future. And the women who break through financially are not always the busiest. They're the ones most focused. They know what drives their revenue and they focus on that above everything, above all the busy work. They keep coming back to that doing work on your business versus in your business. That's why at Her Business, every quarter we have our quarterly business strategy meetings where our members come together and they refocus what it is that they're going to be working on in that next 90 days. Because, weeks, months, a year can go by and you're no closer to your bigger goals because it's so easy to get off track. So that accountability takes you away from the invisible traps and more in line with what it is that you say you want to do in any particular quarter. So there's something that you can do just to think about how you're working. And that is, before you add something or you go towards improving something or extending the scope of something or customizing or including something more, always ask, does this directly increase revenue? Does it improve the client results, or is it a nice to have? Will the client actually notice and value this? And I don't mean, answering one question one client once asked that you should be doing this something and now you're doing it. You want it to be something that's actually going to be applicable to more people. Or are you staying busy in order to avoid asking for the sale? So if the answers to most of what I asked were no, then have a think about how you're spending your time and run your ideas through that filter, because I want you to be working more on what matters. So the 5 invisible work traps. Did I tell you there were going to be 6? Let me see what I said here. Did I say? No, 5. I said 5. I'm delivering 5. I just got myself confused. So number 5 was confusing busy with strategic. So Number 1, product bloat, adding more to justify your price. Number 2, endless polishing. That's us refining instead of selling. Over-customization. This is reinventing your offer for every client. Really not a great use of your time. Number 4 is over-functioning, doing work your clients should be responsible for doing and, playing mum to them because they can't get their together. Number 5 is confusing busy with strategic, and that's when we're filling time instead of building profit. And if you want an exercise to do this week, just do this. Find one of your offers, the one that's most important, audit it, tighten it up, simplify it. Or if it's really not meeting your needs as a business, consider letting it go. So you do not need to prove your value by exhausting yourself and keeping yourself busy. I really want you to hear that. You don't need to add more to your task list in order for you to generate more revenue. You do not need to carry your clients or be responsible for them. And you do not need to be busy all the time to be successful. That one's been a really hard one for me to learn. What you need more of is clarity, boundaries, and a commitment to stay in action on the things that actually move the needle, that actually make you more profitable, more sustainable. A profitable business is one that is sustainable and scalable. You can't scale what isn't sustainable. It just will burn you out. The other thing you want your business to always do is to make the impact that you are here to make. So I encourage you to, again, you can rewind and re-listen to these invisible work traps because they are what keeps us busy but not profitable. I'm going to do one of my favorite things right now, and that is give a listener shout out. My shout out today is to Lydia from Karma Lifestyle. She's one of our members. She helps women over 40 who are stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, and looking for meaning and purpose in their life. And she does that with holistic online programs and spirituality coaching. Now, she listened to episode 328, which is called 4 Systems That Saved My Sanity as a Business Owner. And she said this. She said, "Thanks, Suzi, for making these episodes so real, authentic, and inclusive of who we are, not just our business, but outside of it as well. The topics cover so many areas we deal with every day that matter to us and show us how to negotiate them with more ease, clarity, and confidence. Looking forward to lots more." Well, thank you so much, Lydia, and thank you for the work that you do to support women. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this episode resonated and these 5 invisible work traps were something you could relate to, I would love for you to take a moment and just think, is there someone I know who would benefit from listening to this episode? And then go ahead and share it with them. And if you really enjoyed the episode, which I hope you did, would you consider leaving a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts? And I'll tell you why. I know every podcast host says that, but it is how other women discover us. It is how the show gets into more and more women's businesses and starts to make the differences that we at Her Business are really trying to make. So you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, or you can shoot us a direct message over on Instagram. You'll find us at Her Business on Instagram. Now, over on our website at herbusiness.com/350, you're going to find a summary of today's episode and links to other resources we've discussed. If you're new to the show, be sure to hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Her Business podcast. Bye for now.